Welcome to LinkedIn Heroes. I'm sat here with Sean Sewell. Thanks for joining us today, Sean.
Pleasure.
For the people watching that may not know a bit about your background, would you mind just giving us a brief overview of how you got started in business and as an entrepreneur?
I started my first business just before my 13th birthday. I got my pocket money, built some A-frame signs and set up a car wash cafe in my parents' front yard. And I was about this tall, and I was driving the cars out of the driveway into the park across the road when they were clean, and I'm sure the council would have a field day now, but that was kind of my first foray into it. And I then ended up turning that to a mobile car wash thing, and then I got sick of washing cars because it's like Groundhog Day, the same thing over and over again. And had a few other businesses, had some business with my dad, restoring some cars, and then had some light aeroplanes. And then I moved into, I suppose, more serious business, you could say. So into the mortgage industry, and had a legal practice, property businesses and things like that. And basically grew what I nicknamed a 44-person adult daycare centre, except I paid them to be there. Right? It was this monster trying to kill me. Took me about 6 or 7 years to figure that out, because it was all driven by ego. And a life event happened that kind of gave me a bit of a wake-up call, and I started to realise, okay, well, what do I want to do? Because I'm realising that I really actually hate this. I hate what I'm doing. I really hate coming to work every day. I don't want to sell widgets or things. And I dug pretty deep, and it took me probably 6 to 9 months to start getting an inkling of what I wanted to do, which was about actually helping people. And that's where I get what fills my cup and charges my battery, basically. So, and that's where I'm today with having the privilege of supporting so many incredible business owners.
So tell us a bit about what you do now.
Yeah, so what I do now is I focus on running a mastermind group where we come together 4 times a year, and we provide a high level support for people, for each member.
For business owners.
For business owners, yeah.
Yep.
And I'm keeping that to a certain size so I can actually continue to relate to them. And I know that some people might say, oh, that's not scalable or whatever, but for me, the value is in the relationships first. And those relationships create an immense amount of value that's not monetary necessarily. And I've got some incredible friendships of the people that I've been working with. I've got clients in this room here that I've worked with for over 12 years, a couple for 10, quite a few for 6, 7, 8 years. And that's the bit that I enjoy the most.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because with my business, I enjoy doing the strategy side of it. And it does mean there's a limitation to how much I can scale. But I'm okay with that. I charge a little bit more than my competitors because of that. The clients are quite comfortable paying it, I find. So there is a limitation to how much you can scale, but I'm happy.
Yeah, but and also clients want you, don't they? Because you're the person who's got the skill set, you're the person with the strategy. And likewise, and I've built an incredible team around me to support as well, but people still really want to have that access. They want to have that access to be able to ask a question, and get an opinion or get a piece of advice.
And so working with all these different business owners, what's one of the biggest mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make?
Try to do it themselves. For the first 17 years, I tried to do it myself. I just tried to work harder and longer hours and put more in and try and make efficiencies, but for me to do it and me to do it more and more. And it was that shift, that mistake in not getting support, not learning how to get support, not learning how to grow and develop, that was the thing that held me back. And it all changed when I finally made a decision to actually invest in myself. My first investment in myself was 20 grand. It took me a month to decide about that. But that 20 grand was the best 20 grand I spent. There was 12 people in the room. And since that, that was like 11 years ago or something now, I've either worked with or am in business with 7 out of those people in that room. And I'd never had any contacts in that space or network ever before. And none of this, this space that I'm in now would exist had I not made that decision then. It was pivotal.
Yeah. And I know you are a mentor yourself. Do you have mentors that you still work with
Absolutely. Today? I've worked consistently with mentors in the last 15 years, every year except 1 year. And that 1 year, I actually went backwards. And so it was like I needed to put somebody back there. I mean,
are these people we would have heard of, or they're people that
private ones. I mean, I've done many courses and things like that as well, and had the privilege to work alongside some really incredible other mentors and speakers and things like that. So I've learnt a lot from within the industry as well, because you're always exposed to it and the content and incredible speakers getting up and talking about different new things. And I guess one of the things, whilst I've always had those mentors, one of the things I've found that has helped me learn the most is the fact that I still work one-on-one with people. And working one-on-one with people, they always teach you something. Every conversation, if you're listening, you'll learn something, or you'll hone something that little bit more, and tweak something a little bit more if you're listening.
And so along the way with the business that you have at the moment, there must have been a lot of challenges. as entrepreneurs, we always have a lot of challenges. What's one of the ones perhaps you can share with the audience that you've had to overcome, and how did you overcome it?
I'd say my biggest challenge was my ego. Easy, that's it. Biggest challenge. If I turned my head, you'd probably have to duck because it was just gigantic in the past. It was originally driven by money and status and perceived, prestige or whatever, and it was just a smoke and mirrors. It was stuff to cover up my own shortcomings and lack of self-worth. And when I started on that journey of going from head to heart and actually moving away from the ego and letting the ego go, it really changed everything. It really changed the way I looked at the world, the way I looked at business, the way that I was no longer driven by a dollar result. I was driven by impact, and it changed everything dramatically.
Yeah, I can relate. Yeah. And so what's one of the key success traits, do you think, that you've adopted along the way, or success habits that have attributed to your success?
Continuous learning. It comes down to continuous investment in myself. I'd have to be 400 or 500 grand in the last 12 years that I've invested in myself through various means. And if I knew what I would have achieved, the growth I would have achieved, I would have doubled down on it if I was going to get twice as much, because it's so valuable. We take ourselves everywhere. We've got to look at ourselves in the mirror every day. We impact our wives, husbands, friends, kids, team, and the broader community, especially when we're sharing things on social media and things like that as well. And to me, it's that continuous learning. Always be hungry for more learning, and be like the 5-year-old in the room. Be like eyes wide open, ready to take more in, not like, I'm not going to listen to this guy because I know all this stuff.
Absolutely.
You always pick up something,
Yeah.
Because there's nuance in different people's experience explaining the same thing. You'll pick up some nuance in that.
Yeah, and it sounds like you take responsibility for learning something when you've got an event.
Yep.
For example, there's people like, well, I've paid my money. Yep. What are you going to teach me? Whereas if you go there, open to learning and take responsibility for learning, you're always going to pick something up.
Absolutely, and even in my own events, when I have someone like yourself come and speak at our event, I'm listening, because I know just because it's my event, I could go and sit out the back and go and have a sleep or something, but I want to actually learn. Part of the reason why we bring people in is because I want to learn too, because the more I learn, the more value I can give to my clients.
Absolutely.
And so that's a continuous journey, and my thing is perpetual. If I'm not learning and growing, I feel like I'm shrinking and shriveling up.
Yeah, awesome. Sean, if you could be a superhero, who would you be and why?
The Flash, because I could do stuff really, really
about
fast.
That one.
No, I could do it really fast.
Are you one of those guys that's normally late to meetings and stuff, or?
Just on time. I've gotten better at that over the years, thankfully. But just being able to do things quicker, that would just be great.
Sean, thanks for spending the time with me today. It was a privilege to speak at your event today, and
Awesome. Loved having you.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.